is the largest consumer of goods and services in the world, spending more than $650 billion each year. This purchasing power makes federal procurement an important segment of our economy, in a unique position to support small business growth and build generational wealth throughout the United States, including for firms owned by underrepresented individuals. Hello, my name is Donna Ragucci, and I serve as Treasury's Director of the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization. I applaud our industry partners and resources for participating in today's event as we advance and guide small businesses in gaining access to capital. President Biden has set a policy of using federal contract spending to support small businesses and advance equity. In Executive Order 13985, Advancing Racial Equity and Support for Underserved Communities through the Federal Government, the President directed agencies to make federal contracting and procurement opportunities more readily available to all eligible small businesses and to remove barriers faced by underserved individuals and communities. The executive order calls for a comprehensive approach to advancing equity for all, including people of color and others who have been historically underserved, marginalized, and adversely affected by persistent poverty and inequality. In the President's speech in June of 2021, commemorating the centennial of the Tulsa Race Massacre, President Biden announced an additional step. President Biden set a goal of increasing the share of contracts awarded to small disadvantaged businesses to 15% by 2025. And the President's 2023 budget, the President requested an additional $50 billion in funding to the Small Business Innovation Research Program, an increase from approximately $4 billion in fiscal year 2021. The President charged every agency to assess available tools to increase opportunities for small businesses and traditionally underserved entrepreneurs to compete for federal contracts. Opportunities that include women-owned small businesses, service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses, and small businesses located in historically underutilized business zones, or our HUBZones. A strong America demands a strong, diverse small business industrial base, and our vision is to maintain a strong economy by promoting conditions that enable equitable and sustainable economic growth at home and abroad, combating threats to and protecting the integrity of the financial system, and managing the U.S. government's finances and resources effectively. We can achieve this vision by properly implementing small business laws, giving small businesses maximum opportunities in Treasury's departmental offices and our Bureau's contractual awards, and developing a climate that consistently pursues small business solutions as a first course of action. Our ultimate goals must be the fundamental pursuit of transforming our American small business industrial base into a world-class model that can support the needs of the department. We are in line to increase our small disadvantaged business goal to 15% by FY 2025. Treasury has policies in place to ensure small business set-aside opportunities under and above the simplified acquisition threshold, to ensure small businesses have maximum prime and subcontracting opportunities, and to increase the number of new entrants to Treasury's contractors procurement base. Treasury's OSDBU and FinCEN created a partnership to advance small businesses in their monthly innovation hours. As directed under Executive Order 13985, the OSDBU office established a Small Business Innovation Research Phase 3 pilot program to address barriers to participation in Treasury's innovation programs experienced by socioeconomic small businesses. This pilot leverages the sole source authorities and contract flexibilities included in the Phase 3 Sbirs, which allows advanced technologies created by small businesses to be used and contracted within Treasury's enterprise. Treasury instituted a dynamic market research tool, which is used by contracting professionals to locate vetted small businesses with the requisite past performance and capabilities that match Treasury's procurement requirements. The federal government's goal in advancing equity is to provide everyone with the opportunity to reach their full potential. Consistent with these aims, this goal will serve to change the narrative and increase contracting opportunities for innovative small businesses to lead out on Treasury's mission-critical procurement opportunities. Treasury continues to create an environment to be a catalyst for growth and expansion by leveraging the small businesses' strengths and facilitating activities that contribute to our mission. This means making it easy for small businesses to find opportunities, get answers, collaborate and partner with our department and research partners to deliver innovation. These initiatives are laid out and well-defined in Treasury's strategic plan. Small businesses are the key to America's future, and by working together, we can build our future together. Thank you again for participating in today's event.
And thank you for participating in this series of Access to Capital. Again, my name is Ron Busby, and I'm the President and CEO of the U.S. Black Chambers, Inc., headquartered here in Washington, D.C., very close to the U.S. Department of Treasury, as we are partners, and so proximity is important. When the U.S. Black Chamber was created in 2009, we were founded on what we call our 5 key pillars, advocacy being the first one, but our second one was access to capital. As we know that all small business owners, their number one concern is access to capital. But when you talk to Black business owners, their number 1, number 2, and number 3 concerns are access to capital. It's not just about the availability, it's also about the accessibility and the affordability. And so the series that you're participating in today will allow us to talk about the access to capital that our businesses need to participate in this economy. We know that there's conversations going on around America about $1 trillion infrastructure spend, and those are all good news, and we're excited about participating. But equally as important as to opportunities is the access to capital to take advantage. And so for those of you that are participating today, we are excited about the future. We're excited about the partnerships, and more importantly, we're excited about your progress and prosperity. This being Black Business Month is very near and dear to our hearts, because we know that in our community that the quickest way for us to create generational wealth is through the success of the businesses that we own and operate around this country. And for those that are members of the U.S. Black Chamber, it's also about making sure that we can be found, we can participate, and we can prosper. And so there's a bit of conversation going around the country around certification. And so you'll also hear us talk about the Buy Black certification to make sure that we have access to you and you have access to the U.S. Black Chamber and the resources that we participate in across this country. And so I'm excited about today's conversation. I'm excited about our partnership, and most importantly, I'm excited about your prosperity. So again, congratulations. I've always said that 50% of winning is showing up. And so you already have done that part. But the last 50% is about follow-up and consistency. And so the information that you'll hear and learn and gain from this afternoon, make sure that you're taking diligent notes, but more importantly, that you're following up on the notes and the information that is being shared with you. So again, thank you for participating, and we look forward to your membership and prosperity. See you on the other side.
everyone. Lisa Joseph, and I'm Vice President Director of Programs for the U.S. Black Chambers. And again, as our illustrious leader just mentioned, we want to thank you for joining us today for the U.S. Department of Treasury's Access to Capital Advancing Small Business session. So I'm just going to start us off with a few housekeeping notes before the panels and the presentations are presented. So first off, we will have a question and answer section for this webinar. It will take place at the end of all of the discussion. And so we ask you to, if you have questions, to please place them in the Q&A portion of this Zoom. You're also going to receive this presentation as well as a brochure after the session in the next few days. And so if you don't receive it, at least by sometime next week, please feel free to reach out to us at programs@usblackchambers.org. So let's get started. Let's get our paper, pens, our mobile devices ready to take notes as we present these wonderful panels of experts across our partners, which include the U.S. Department of the Treasury, the U.S. Small Business Administration, or SBA, Women Impacting Public Policy, or WIP, and HUBZone Opportunity Fund. Again, on behalf of the USBC, the Greater Washington Black Chamber of Commerce, who's partnering with us on this as well, and our SBA Community Navigator Pilot Program, we welcome you to this webinar.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's Access to Capital event. I'm so delighted that you clicked yes to attend our event and want to be able to get a seat at the table. The work that we do at the Treasury WOSB is synonymous to, if I can help somebody, then my living shall not be in vain. In response to the Biden's administration's Executive Order 13985, the U.S. Department of Treasury, Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization, is expanding our ecosystem of small businesses to include 8A, small disadvantaged businesses, women-owned small businesses, economically disadvantaged women-owned small businesses, service-disabled veterans, as well as companies located in historically underutilized business zones. Today, the wealth gap exists. Today, access to capital is unequal. As one example, minority entrepreneurs are 3 times more likely to report that a lack of access to capital negatively affects their profit margins. Capital is the lifeblood of all businesses, but especially small businesses. Without adequate financing through microloans, commercial lending, or investment capital, most entrepreneurs cannot start new businesses and or grow their existing companies. Because access to capital is so critical for small business success, we must take actions to address these disparities that will define our nation's strength and economic strength in the 21st century. Today's agenda is integrated with our initiative title, Advancing Small Business Series. We want to thank our partners, the SBA, the U.S. Black Chambers of Commerce, Culture Equity, and Women Impacting Public Policy, and our highly esteemed speakers for their role with wanting to move the needle to increase equity and inclusion for small businesses and the underserved communities. My name is Lisa Jenkins. I'm the Stakeholder Engagement Program Manager, Women-Owned Small Businesses, Underserved Communities, and Under-Resourced Communities Program Manager. I would like to provide my contact information because I want to make sure that you get the requisite resources to advance your business. My email address is melissa.jenkins@treasury.gov. Again, that email address is melissa.jenkins@treasury.gov. To learn more about what we are doing at Treasury, please visit our website. Our website address is www.treasury.gov/OSDBU. Again, that website, www.treasury.gov/OSDBU. Today, I have the honor to introduce Mr. Torrance T.D. Chisholm. who we know as TD. He currently serves as the Director of Chief Learning Officer of the Treasury Acquisition Institute. The Treasury Acquisition Institute is one of 6 federal acquisition teaching schools that has a mission to deliver world-class training, education, and leadership to enhance professional growth to develop over 2,300 certified, qualified acquisition professionals, focus on providing value-added acquisition services in support of more than 85,000 employees Treasury-wide. TD was handpicked to be a member of the Treasury Equity Review Team as a Bureau Assessment Team Lead on advancing racial equity. Without further ado, Mr. TD Chisholm. TD.
Thank you, Lisa. And let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. Good morning to you all. As Lisa stated, as one of the 6 acquisition teaching schools, part of our mission at TAI is to deliver world-class training to the acquisition workforce so that they have the necessary tools to enable effective and efficient acquisition outcomes. Now, this fiscal year, what we have been able to do is we have been able to offer socioeconomic requirements training to our workforce. In essence, advancing procurement equity in furtherance of Presidential Executive Order 13985. The importance of this executive order stems from the need to be certain we are meeting the mandate to provide every vendor with a fair playing field as it relates to doing business with the government. Access to capital and this event today is very important because the federal government's goal in advancing equity is to provide everyone with the opportunity to reach their full potential. In alignment with these goals and objectives, and in conjunction with this event today, this will serve as an important step to meeting these goals. So it is our hope you are able to gain valuable insight from this event today. Thank you all for your attendance, and back to you, Lisa.
Thank you so much, TD. I have the honor to introduce one of my sheroes, one of the folks that I look up to for mentorship, and that is Ms. Candace Waterman. Ms. Candace Waterman is the president and CEO of Women Impacting Public Policy, with over 35 years of experience spanning across both the private and public sector. She has owned 3 successful companies in the medical, real estate, and hospitality industries. Currently serving as a U.S. delegate of the W20, Candace is recognized as a global thought leader and subject matter expert. Her commitment to diversity, inclusion, and operational excellence has earned her numerous awards and recognition, including the 2019 WBE Hall of Fame recipient and the 2019 Top Executives in Diversity. Additionally, she has held seats on the American Contract Compliance Association, Board of Directors, and the Essence Entrepreneurial Advisory Council for Essence Magazine. Ms. Candace Waterman is the moderator for Event 1. Without further ado, I would like to bring up Ms. Candace Waterman, and she will do the introductions for her panelists. Ms. Candace?
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Lisa Jenkins, one of my great friends. I appreciate that warm introduction. Thank you for having all of us today. And thank you to the participants for taking a time out of your business to work on your business instead of in your business, because that is so very important. You know, as we, to say, you know, from the conversation that has already happened today, to say that access to financing is important and relevant right now would be a total understatement. President Biden has signed executive orders supporting and providing financial access. And of course, the Department of Treasury recently approved 4 state plans in Colorado, Montana, New York, and Oregon to support underserved entrepreneurs and small business growth for the state small business credit initiative. All of these will help decrease the financial divide. With every conversation that involves entrepreneurship and small businesses, particularly in the underserved communities, there is a part of that conversation that involves the need to increase education and resources available, how to have businesses show up and what financing options to select for them. And honestly, how should companies secure the bag, if you will? Today's conversation, we're going to unpack many of these elements and provide you with tangible and real business financing advice and solutions. Without further ado, I would like to please welcome to the virtual stage my fellow panelists. First, Jody Harris, Director, U.S. Department of Treasury's Community Development Financial Institutions Fund. That's the CDFI Fund. Next, we have Michelle Shemp, Deputy Associate Administrator, Office of Investment and Innovation for the U.S. Small Business Association or Administration. And then last but certainly not least, Anita Davis, President and Chief Funding Matchmaker for PRASIX. Welcome, ladies.
Thanks, Candace.
Good morning. Good morning. How is everyone doing today?
Great.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you. Absolutely. I think Anita is joining us as well. Anita, are you here with us?
I am here. I'm speaking.
Oh, I am so sorry. I see you now. Of course, that's what happens. Welcome to live television, as I say.
No worries.
Yes, I see Anita and I see Michelle. I do not see Jody. Is Jody joining us?
I looked and I don't see her on.
I don't
All right.
see her
Well, you
either.
know what? As we say, welcome to live television, and we're going to have an amazing conversation. So without further ado, I could read your bios, which I'm sure would take me forever to do because you all are such subject matter experts in your space. And so I think we learned so much from you telling your story a bit. So I would like to start with both of you telling us a little bit about yourself and your current role. Anita, why don't you go ahead and get us started?
Absolutely. First of all, let me thank Lisa Jenkins from the U.S. Department of Treasury for inviting me to this knowledge share opportunity this morning, as well as the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce for hosting us, and of course you, Candace, for being our moderator of the panel, and Michelle for being a panelist. It's a wonderful opportunity for me to be here. Again, my name is Anita Davis, and I am the President, Chief Funding Matchmaker, and Knowledge Transfer Agent at Praxis Strategic Solutions. And Praxis is a consulting firm headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, and we provide financial services and training solutions for small business owners and a few other segments that I'll share with you in just a sec. So I founded Praxis after a 20-year bank lending career with some of the major banks that you would be familiar with. And my passion is to help small business owners grow and scale their companies. I found that even working with some of the larger financial institutions, that we still need more support for our small business owners to get them navigated through the process. So Praxis focuses on helping clients move from the application stage all the way to the closing table. In fact, we begin with the end in mind, which is the closing table for our clients. We also, during the pandemic, did the pandemic pivot, as I call it. And in our pandemic pivot, we added a few additional solutions. Training is one of the solutions that we added, and that solution was added because I found that many small business owners are not successful along the funding track because they still have some shortfalls in their financials. So we provide financial statement literacy. We work with government and advocacy agencies to ensure that clients have the knowledge that they need and the preparation that's required to get them through the funding process. And then finally, part of my pandemic pivot has been to emerge and grow and scale my company into new areas as well. And so I focus on identification of a risk for corporate and government supply chains to make sure that their suppliers are not adding any additional risk within their supply chain and making sure that we have less disruption. So today I'm looking forward to this robust conversation, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. I love what you said. You started with the end in mind. And of course, the normal pandemic pivot, as all of us had to do in some way, shape, or form. Michelle, I'll give you the floor next.
Thanks, Candace, and it's wonderful to be here with you. Really value what Women Impacting Public Policy does, and really appreciate the U.S. Black Chambers for hosting this, as well as Department of Treasury and their partnership with us. So I'm Michelle Schemp. I am the Deputy Associate Administrator for SBA's Office of Investment and Innovation. It's my second time with the office. I originally joined the Office of Investment and Innovation and the SBA in 2015. I had spent about 2 decades previously working on international development, working in Haiti and Afghanistan and Pakistan, trying to grow economies, help businesses, sponsor and support innovation. And I was really fortunate when I saw a job in 2015 for investment and innovation doing it domestically. And I thought, wouldn't that be an amazing chance to come and work in the United States? And I was really surprised when I got the job and found out that the portfolio that we oversee in this one office within the Small Business Administration has assets under management that are nearly equal to the entire U.S. foreign assistance budget. And that's to benefit U.S. small businesses in investment and innovation. So it's been a great privilege. I said it's my second time doing the job. I also served in our Office of International Trade and SBA's Office of Diversity, Inclusion, and Civil Rights for brief periods as well. So just super excited to make everyone aware. I guess our pandemic pivot as an agency was, when I joined the agency, our largest program was about $43 billion, the renowned 7A loan program. Today, as a result of our disaster assistance programs, we now have over $1 trillion worth of business relationships with U.S. small businesses. We touch 1 out of every 3 of the 30 million U.S. small businesses. So what does that give us? It gives us a chance not to make businesses that may have known of us because of our work in the pandemic response benefit now from our ongoing flagship programs.
Wow, to say you're busy is an understatement as well. And I know with you and Bailey DeVries over there that you all are ensuring that our businesses have access to the knowledge, because I find that is one of the biggest barriers, is just even knowing what's out there for them. And guess what? Jody is here with us. Jody, we are excited that you are here with us today. And we are just opening up with you, telling us a little bit about yourself and your role within Treasury.
Great. Thank you, Candace. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Anita and Michelle. I am Jody Harris, the Director of the Community Development Financial Institutions Fund, or as we like to call it, the CDFI Fund, which is part of the domestic finance operations of the Treasury Department. I've been director since 2019, but have served several roles within Treasury and the CDFI Fund since 2007. And before that, I was engaged in small business development in a number of ways through consulting, through academia, as well as public policy development. So it's a pleasure to be here today, and thank you for the invitation.
Oh, absolutely.
Go ahead, Candace.
No, I was saying absolutely. I'm glad you're here with us today.
Yeah, so I'll just give a quick couple notes about the CDFI Fund, which I think is more important to the attendees than what I've done for a living. So the CDFI Fund was established in 1994. And since that time, our mission has been to expand economic opportunity for underserved people and communities across the country by supporting the growth and capacity of a national network of community development lenders, investors, and financial service providers. We call the bulk of this network CDFIs, or Community Development Financial Institutions. They can be banks, credit unions, loan funds, or venture capital firms. And we invest in these institutions so they can then lend to different facets of our community, such as small businesses. And this counters the disinvestment that has occurred in distressed and underserved areas for decades and centuries. So the CDFIs serve as a gateway to capital and credit and to communities not served by the traditional mainstream banks and lenders.
Thank you so much. That I was going to ask you to give us an overview, and so you had a great segue there, and it really puts this conversation in context for everyone, right? And understanding, as I say, the sort of alphabet soup, if you will, of the financial world. Michelle, I'm going to pivot over to you because Jody set us up really nicely. Can you talk to us about some of the current programs like the SBA 504, 7A, and even the CDFI financing that small businesses should be taking advantage of in the Office of Investment and Innovation?
Well, thanks, Candace. That's great. I think that the 7A and 504 is going to be touched on a little bit more. Anita's going to join in on that and talk a little bit more in some of the subsequent sessions about those premier loan programs for which the SBA is really known. Today, I want to focus a bit more on the investment and innovation work that we do. For those of you that heard Donna's initial comment about the Treasury Department and some of the growth as a result of the executive order, she showcased that Treasury, along with another 10 partner agencies, are focusing on innovative small businesses and helping them to take advantage of, it's called Small Business Innovation Research. Some call it Sbir, some call it SBIR. But if you are an early stage small business looking for proof of concept, sort of staged funding in the $50,000 up to a high of about $1.5 million grants and contracts, you may want to look into the SBIR program. SBIR.gov is the website. I'll let you know that across all of the federal agencies last year alone, roughly $4 billion flowed to these innovative, high growth, high hiring small businesses. When certain icons of our economy were small, because this program's existed since the 1980s, Amgen, Apple, FedEx, Staples, Intel benefited from the Small Business Innovative Research Program. And so, just really urging folks, about a third of the recipients are in underserved categories: women, minorities, hub zones, veterans, and rural areas. And so, again, that's one, the Small Business Innovative Research. It's the innovation in our Office of Innovation and Investment. And secondly, and even larger, is if you're a company interested in investment, the Small Business Investment Company Program. What this is for cash flow positive, more companies looking to grow, expand, or potentially sell. And if you're interested, you might be a candidate as an investment, as a portfolio company of investment of our 300 small business investment companies. Like Jody was mentioning, SBA identifies entities that then get a license from us to invest in small businesses. And when they get a license, for every $1 in private capital they raise, they get $2 in private debt. And that enables each fund to invest typically in 15 to 20 portfolio companies. Investments range from as low as 1 million up to, in some cases, highs of about 25 million, or last year's average was about 7 million per company. It's not really a program for startups, but about 20% have been in business for less than 2 years, and about a quarter of the portfolio companies are for women, minorities, veterans, or lower to moderate income. So I'll stop there, but I will, happy to give people guidance on how to learn more about these programs and be considered.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Michelle. And just to reiterate, the first was sbir.gov for you to look at that for a resource. And certainly, as Elisa said earlier, put your questions in the chat so that we can address those. So now that the foundation is laid, Anita, I'm going to pivot on over to you to talk about some of those programs within SBA, like the 504 and 7A program.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for bringing this up, because the SBA 7A loan program is one of the most popular and readily available funding opportunities with the SBA. And not only are banks offering these products, but there are non-bank entities that will fund the SBA 7A loan program. It can help with a wide variety of business needs, and that is why the 7A program is so attractive. If you are a company looking for working capital, the 7A loan product is a great fit for you. If you're looking to expand and enlarge the territory where you support your clients and grow your client base, it's an excellent opportunity. One of the things that is really popular with the 7A product in this environment is that we're having a lot of baby boomers retire, and they're leaving great companies. So if you want to make an acquisition of another company or even a competitor, this is a great product that will help you acquire the capital and funding to do that. If you're looking to expand with equipment and or real estate, the 7A product will allow you to be able to do that. It is flexible. It will give you a long-term 25-year time frame to repay the obligation, and it gives you the ability to acquire assets, strengthen your balance sheet, and those are the things that make you attractive to a lender. And as everybody knows, or most people know, the SBA is not typically a direct lender, unlike they were during the pandemic and offering the EIDL loan. They don't do that anymore. So you're going to work with an outside lender or outside funding source. Some of them, again, are non-bank lenders, and they can help you navigate and actually acquire the capital that you need to grow. That is one of my favorite products because it's more robust and it allows you to do quite a few different options available to you. Many small businesses are looking for lines of credit. It is a more challenging product to acquire, particularly since the pandemic, but that is also one of the products that rolls under the SBA 7A portfolio. And so that allows clients, when you can find a lender that will initiate that product for you, they will be able to allow you to have a line of credit. So consider the SBA 7A loan product. And the SBA 504, Candace, is more of a real estate asset-based focused solution. If you want to purchase and acquire real estate, it does allow you to do so with a structure where you have a 50% typically bank loan or one of the other non-bank lenders, a 50% loan. Then you'll have a community developed corporation do a 40% loan, and you as the business owner have a 10% investment. You will also have a 10% investment with the 7A loan product, but it does allow you to primarily acquire assets. And also, if you are in a space where you need heavy equipment and large equipment, you can roll those equipment needs for your business under the 504 loan product. So you can do both of those needs with the product, but you cannot normally add some of the other solutions like acquisitions or working capital to the 504 loan. So they serve different purposes, but they can both address some of the same needs. The 7A is more robust, but the 504 is also a wonderful opportunity and option for clients that are growing and scaling their companies.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. You know, you said a couple of things that I just want to reiterate that as you were talking about the programs, understanding the pathways to growth and acquisitions and mergers is definitely one of those. The other is strategic alliances and joint ventures. We can't talk about those enough as well as we're talking about, again, these pathways to growth. We do have 2 questions on the floor that I'm going to pose to you in addition to the ones that I have teed up. And the first is the SBIR program, is that for research only, or can it be for products as well?
I'll take that. It can be for products, but for the concept, proof of concept, or the prototyping of those products. I'll use an example that I really love. You know, the Roomba vacuum cleaner, the company iRobot, many years ago, I think it was about 15 years ago, benefited from funding from the Department of Defense and I think maybe the DARPA in terms of prototyping their robotics technology for the purposes of landmine detection and other kinds of life-saving technologies and produced low-cost robots to go in and clear landmines. But the purpose over time is how do you help commercialize that technology to benefit and grow jobs across the economy? And now we have wonderful vacuum cleaners as a result. So it's that kind of thing, that it is a technology that or a prototype that can then lead to eventually a commercialized product.
Thank you so much for that. Anita, I'm going to come to you for a question, and then Jody, I'm going to tee you up for one as well. So Anita, I'm going to start with you. You know, we talked about these different kinds of programs, and we know that there are many barriers, right, to entry and growth for small businesses, and access to capital, as Ron said, is number 1, 2, and 3. So can you talk to us about when in the business life cycle should a firm seek funding, right? And where should they look first? Should they look internally, right? Friends and family? Should they look at these programs that you have? But when is the right time to seek that funding?
That's a great question, Candace. The right time is when you're looking at your cash flow and you can see that you have enough a revenue stream that's stable enough for you to make the repayments along the continuum of that loan opportunity. So when you're early stage, it's fairly difficult to know that you have a regular, stable repayment ability to do that. So when you can identify that that is the case, I think that is a great time to look for funding. The other thing is to have a strategic mindset about how you're going to use the funding. Is it going to grow and expand your revenue, or is it going to help you reduce costs? So you need a strategic thought process about what you're going to use the capital for. When you have those 2 things in place, you know what your need is, you're going to grow your revenues, and yes, I have a consistent income stream, so I can, you can't just make the payment the first 3 months. You got to make it for the full, 36 months or however long the term is that you have signed up for. So once you're sure that you can do that, that's a great time for you to consider looking for a loan. And where should you look? I think that there are so many different opportunities out here today to help you look for it. Grants is a wonderful thing. It used to be a time when you would say, no, grants, that's really not a thing. But today, particularly for under advantaged and disadvantaged businesses, there are some grant opportunities that you can look at. The second place is absolutely in Jody's wheelhouse with the CDFIs. They are a wonderful place that will help you look for funding. And you can also look for other resources in your community that may have partnerships with other agencies and institutions that are offering funding. Banks, of course, are a great resource if you can qualify according to their standards.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And you teed Jody up perfectly for me. And Jody, I'm going to come over to you and ask if you can share some of the growth programs within Treasury that businesses should be taking advantage of.
Sure. As Anita mentioned, CDFIs are a great place for small businesses to go to learn about different funding sources. In fact, I think the second panel will actually have a CDFI on there who can talk about their small business lending programs. What the CDFI Fund does is we provide grant loan capital to CDFIs who then on-lend that to small businesses. And each CDFI has a different set of criteria. Banks and credit unions who are regulated institutions may have a series of criteria that small businesses need to meet due to the fact that they are regulated institutions. But the loan fund community is a very diverse type of lender, and it really is up to the small business owner to identify a lender with which they meet in terms of the small business's goals as well as the lender's goals. And small business lenders will do microloans. They'll do loans that are as low as $2,500, well above in the millions, depending on where the business is. On the CDFI Fund website, we have a list of CDFIs. There are 1,300 across the country. They're in major cities. They are in rural communities. They are on reservations. They are all over the country. And I think small businesses can start there. Search for where you are and find an institution and start a conversation. CDFIs also work well with technical assistance. They provide small business technical assistance, especially if you're just starting out. And CDFIs do a really great job of walking borrowers through the process. So some CDFIs offer 7A and 504 loans, but they also have their own products that they offer. And it's really a great place for new entrepreneurs, businesses at the growth stage, businesses even in the mature stage to go to find resources.
Thank you so much. I am going to come over to a question that we have. Michelle, this one is going to be for you. I'm going to answer the first part and then kick the second part over to you. But the question is, how do we obtain a UEI, and is it required to register for SBIR? We have so much alphabet soup. I just want everyone to know that UEI is your unique entity ID that has taken the place of our DUNS, and you should be able to go to sam.gov for that. And now I'm going to kick it over to Michelle to say, do I need a UEI in order to register for SBIR?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be required of all businesses wanting to do anything with the federal government. So, just take the time, establish your UEI, and get ready to be doing business with us. I did just want to make an additional point too on in terms of if you find that the lending community isn't finding your deal worthy, it may not mean that you can't find investment elsewhere. And so I would just urge you, just because a bank says no doesn't mean that, for example, a private equity investor and a small business investment company or another type, oftentimes if you don't have a lot of assets, the bank community is not going to find you as bankable. But certainly, and the situations that Anita outlined, where you're looking to grow into new markets, you're looking to acquire another company, or you're looking to sell your company, there are other options to be looking at there as well.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. You know, as we talk about all of these available resources, there is, a disparity in who is applying and the businesses that applied for funding and seek these resources, I call it application anxiety, I think, particularly in the BIPOC community, where we count ourselves out, and with women as well, before we even put ourselves in the game. Then we ask for less than what we want. But Michelle, can you talk about the disparity that you may see in businesses who apply to take advantage of the available programs that you've talked about, and what advice would you give them as they think about and not outthink themselves, right, or think themselves out of these opportunities?
It's such an important question, and I've had numerous conversations over the decades about this, because these problems are decades long. I think that one of the big pieces is awareness of the resources, and certainly that's why people like Jody, Anita, and I are out here trying to let you know and make people aware. But I think the other piece that's really important is companies getting the exposure that you need to in the arenas of lending, investment, and innovation. In part, it's because you're small companies, right? And we have private equity as an industry has incentives to look for the big deals. They make the same percentage off of a big deal as they do a small deal. And so they can earn 10 times more working on 10 times bigger deal. Yeah. They're going to do that. Venture capital, we know, gets very focused concentrated on the coasts, heavily based on relationships for access. And then I think sometimes maybe businesses, especially small businesses, think private equity is suspicious, right? And worry that it's going to weaken their economic position in a business that they've labored over to build, and that a lower percentage of ownership is going to make them vulnerable. And while that can be the case, but a smaller percentage of a bigger pie in a company that's growing through private equity investment can make a lot of sense. So, that's why some of the programs that we run exist, is in order to keep people supporting small businesses and being small business friendly. And, whether you're a small business investment company that gets licensed by the SBA, you do it because you're going to serve a public purpose. You're going to go somewhere and make investments in companies that lack that access to capital otherwise. And similarly, the federal agencies that support the SBIR program really do the same, that, underserved small businesses, this is the sweet spot and where this program needs to focus. So I guess I'd say in terms of a big E exposure, you're successful business people. You know how to network. You know how to get out there. You know how to, get in the door with the CDFI, get in the door with companies like Anita's, and then just start that network, learn, be curious, and, if anything, just don't not hide behind the computer, but the application fatigue of behind the computer stuff versus getting visible, find that right balance that works for you.
Absolutely. Thank you. I am going to ask quickly, Anita and Jody, any quick advice, conversation, or additional conversation around this last point so that our businesses know not to count themselves out before they even get in the game?
I'll jump in. Absolutely. I think the application fear and the process of hearing so many other clients that may have been turned down. I do want people, business owners, to know that the funding process is very custom. It's customized. So every business is going to be different. And when your company is different, your financials are different, your industry is probably different from someone else. So don't just listen to what somebody else say and then decide that your company is not going to qualify. You don't know that until somebody helps you navigate that process and understand. One of the things that we do at our firm is to make sure that you understand the track from readiness to risky. It is going to be a risk decision. You know, what is the probability that this client might default on the loan, and what is a loss given a default going to look like for the institution or the firm that's offering you the funding? They're going to look at that, but they're going to look at it based on your company and your company alone. They're not just going to put you in a bucket with everybody else. So I do think that there is a bit of fear of failure in the application process, Candace. And I do also think that there are so many programs available to help you get ready for funding that once you have gone through and navigated those programs and those opportunities, that will give you more confidence in inserting yourself into the application and funding process.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Jody, you want to take the last words for us?
Sure. Just echoing what Anita said, I think relationships are key, particularly if you're starting out. And if you can find a lender with whom you can build a relationship, they can take you from those initial days into different phases of businesses and growing your business. And I also think that we need to remember that when you're a small business or an entrepreneur, until you get to a certain loan size, a lot of the financials that lenders will look at will be related to your personal credit and your personal experience. So it's important to find that lender who you build a relationship with, who understands what you're trying to accomplish, where you're coming from, can help you work out any financial situations that you have personally encountered to get you ready to, one, take on any capital or credit at the personal level that then translates into a larger small business investment. So building a business and funding a business is truly a trajectory that's built on relationships and understanding and education. So as Anita and Michelle said, seek out those partners and resources that can help you get a firm financial footing. And then you'll find that there will be a lot of other resources that open up as you move through the pipeline.
Absolutely. Ladies, I cannot thank you enough. We want to again thank Jody Harris, Michelle Shemp, and Anita Davis. I could have this conversation all day, and I reserve the right to come back and us maybe do a part 2 to this. Thank you so much to Department of Treasury and U.S. Black Chambers for having us all today. We thank you and wish you an amazing rest of the day and a successful rest of the event.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm Philip Dunn. I want to thank you all for watching part 1 of U.S. Department of the Treasury's Access to Capital, Advancing Small Business Initiatives. Now, we will replay part 2 and 3 later on in the week. Want to make sure that you all got a chance to hear part 1, and then be on the lookout for the remaining installments of this series. In the meantime, we encourage you all to register for the Buy Black Conference taking place next week, October 19th through the 21st. And it's going to take place at MGM National Harbor in Maryland. So you want to make sure that you go out to www.buyblackcon.com, register for the event, come and check us out at US Black Chambers, Inc. Thank you all. Have a great day.